I think Western culture and Western systems have decided that they're above the environment. They're at the top of the food chain. And so everything follows their rules, when really you're not. And that was evidenced in 2013. Water is an element that we are very respectful of. And it just says, you can build all the dams you want, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to take what belongs to me. So we have a clear understanding of that, or a better understanding, maybe not clear, but a better understanding of what that means. And we act in accordance to that, because those are the laws and principles that were laid down before we became anything on this land. Like we as Tsuut'ina, we don't want to see Calgary get hit again with another major flood. And I know the city of Calgary has been making steps to mitigate that. And they're pressuring the provincial government to come up with a solution so we don't have to. And I think this is where the Springbank Dam and the McLean Creek Dam came up. People ask, well, why are you opposed? Voters, they always vote to change the system. Really, the system changes them. It changes them into believing political promises. And they inherit those political promises because they end up believing. And in that believing, all they create is a debt that gets deeper and deeper. For myself and for a lot of other nations and their chiefs, and that we have to answer to a different covenant. Not just our own people, but it's the land, it's the water, it's the air. And that's our responsibility. Under the Indian Act, we started being called wards of the state. I think if we go back to the argument for Springbank, it infringes on what land was allocated to us under the Indian Act for our use and our protection. You have to have volume to trigger those gates to open up. So that means backing up. And it backs up right onto the nation's land, onto Mary Robinson's land. And then above us, in Bragg Creek and all that, they're trying to build dikes. What that does is it increases the velocity of the river. Water becomes this hammer now. And once it gets onto the nation land, it'll start to scour the ground. So it'll dig up whatever's there, and it'll find its places where it's the weakest, easiest flow. And it'll go under a dike, and it'll kind of percolate somewhere else. In basic hydrology, water always has to even itself out. So if the level of the water is here and they're starting to percolate here, hey, well, we got to even this out. Brings it up here. Yes, it's going to infringe on our sovereign land. Yes, there's concerns of all sorts of different contamination. Mostly it's about creating a wasteland in the area that's proposed. And when you look at the historical information about southern Alberta and this area, you find that we have a lot more years of drought than we actually have flood events. The storage of water off-stream is kind of something that we really should consider. And we've kind of lucked out so far, but even here on Tsuut'ina, we're really aware of fire. It's so tinder dry in there that one little match can wipe out our whole forest. So we're taking steps to mitigate that. So why don't we capture some water during the high spring flood so we can have storage there, which will serve two purposes, not just for water, for fire, but to reinvigorate our traditional lands that we use for picking all of our medicines. Because we go out there and nature is telling us we're really suffering out here. There's no water anywhere. Why would you want to create a dry dam? That would just increase the impact of desert-like conditions. Let's look at multi-barrier approaches. McLean Creek could be another solution. And a combination, even on our nation, I think we have a spot there that we can realistically have space there too. And then even further downstream, this is about the future of everybody's grandchildren, the future of our own existence as human beings. Which, that sounds pretty broad-based, but it's not. it boils down to ceremony. You got to ask the land, you got to ask the water, you got to ask the ancestors, are we doing the right thing? And just to do that in itself is very humbling. Because a lot of times nobody knows how to ask that question. Yet it's just a fundamental thing to do.